things kind of lock in for a second and then it's almost like they've pulled apart again. So it feels like there's this constant motion of kind of, oh, is it kind of, oh, will it, won't it? Alright guys, Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. So this is kind of the analysis portion of my reaction to Band Maid, Don't You Tell Me. I'm trying to split these into two different kind of sections, a more kind of straight first impressions, one where I just check out the song, and then one where I kind of dive into it a bit more. I am still really keen to do a proper kind of thorough deep dive in one of their songs. I'm leaning towards Moratorium at the minute because that's probably still my favourite one. The thing I'm struggling with a wee bit slightly is how to explain what happens in the song, because I'm aware that I can go down the music theory rabbit hole, and while some of it's interesting, I think at some point I do tend to lose people, but I also know there are folk that are kind of into the theory side of things and find that quite interesting. So I suppose what I'm trying to do just now, rather than create one thing to please everyone, is being like, well, if you like this, I can do it this way, and I can do this for these people, and try and sort of find, I don't know, find a way to cater for things that people want to see in maybe a slightly more accessible way, which is probably hitting the nail on the head. That's kind of what I want to do with the songs, because the way I do it myself is I just like analyze it from a theory point of view. And I don't know how interesting that would be. So again, this is just something that's been kicking about in my head. So I do apologise that I've probably bored everyone to tears at this point. But that being said, it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't ramble on with it. So there we go. You know what you're getting at this point. So we have Don't You Tell Me here, as I probably already said. I don't know how much of the stuff I'll keep in, how much I've edited out, because I just kind of went on a tangent there. Forgive me, and let's have a breakdown of this. So there's one thing that stuck out right from the get-go. They're ringing out the guitars. Is that a D? Yeah. So they're probably down in D standard for this one. This is an incredibly cool way to start off the song. I've just got this clip here, so I don't know if this is being rung out from a previous song or if they've had a count in. I would think they've maybe just let it ring because there is a count in on the hi-hats after. It's a really cool way to start a song. So instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, everyone in, you've got some noise going on first, then the count in, and then everything in. And she's doing a bit of kind of hype man stuff, so like kind of try to get the crowd going and get a bit of a reaction from them, which I don't think is really needed too much here. We've got Octaves from Kanami, which is, I'm going to guess it's starting on a D. No. Up on the third, so we're probably over a D, which is playing an F. That kind of thing. I've got that wrong, I'll listen to it again and I'll figure it out more properly, but there's other cool stuff here I kind of want to touch on. Like that little syncopated hit, and you heard the guitar going, what she's probably doing is one of those, or just some natural harmonics. Putting little noises like that in the gaps is just a really cool thing to do, just adds this extra layer of excitement. So let's have a look at those octaves she's doing. So just to break that down for the guitarists in the room here, we're starting on like an F, going all the way up to an A, just doing an octave shape, then we're down to here, so your 10th fret on the A, then you're all the way up to the 15th, I'm playing it. This cool little semitone thing, so we're going 8 down to 7, and then all the way up to this 12th fret again. So if you don't know what octaves are, I'll link to me covering them before with the eye up there. But it's a kind of common thing that most guitarists, if you played for a bit, you probably have a rough idea of what's going on. And with the chords there, the underneath part, the rhythm section, a D minor, up to an F, and down to B flat, down to G minor. Same the second time. But then with the stabs, on the G minor. So there's some cool kind of interplay going on with the guitars in terms of the harmony, so that's basically how the notes work together. We've got a D minor, as I say, on the rhythm section. The lead guitar is playing an F, so an F is in a D minor. A D minor chord is a D, an F, and an A. So musically this is very coherent. She's playing what's the third, right? So we got this with this on top of it. The next chord, we go up to the F major, and here she's playing an A. Now Kanami's playing an A. So an F major is an F, an A, and a C. So again, this is very musically coherent. This kind of makes sense. Where it starts to get a bit spicy here, and this is where you get this kind of sense of kind of remorse or longing almost from it, from just the music alone without even the need for any lyrics or context. So you get this feeling from it, is when it's gone to the B flat, the chords. We've gone from here to here. She's then playing this note here, right, which is a G. So this is a sixth away from a B flat. A B flat is a B flat, a D, and an F. I've added this note on top of it, right? I'm going to put this up the octave. This is the same note but just higher so I can physically play the chord. So you're getting this really nice kind of add 6 jazzy chord. There's another song of theirs that used some really jazzy chords, and when I remember what it is, I'll put a little eye tip there linking to me breaking down the kind of chord. I think it was Puzzle, but I'll double check that. I'll put up some text if I'm mistaken about that. But yeah, there's really nice kind of slightly melancholic jazz edge. The next part, she's gone all the way up to a C. The rhythm is how we're playing a G minor. So G minor is a G, a B flat, and a D. So this C is what you call the fourth. It's 4 notes away from G, right? So you're getting this kind of add 4. That note there, right, that's adding the kind of spice. Then what she's doing is going down to an F and an E. Yeah, the F and the E that she goes to the next. They're not present in the chord, so we kind of get a flat 7th and a major 6th on top of it. So if I try and put those notes on top of this chord, right? If I can figure out a way to play that, there we go. So you get this kind of much jazzier. So you start off kind of very consonant harmonically, then we're starting to add in a bit of the jazz, if I can finger this one better. And that's that with that 6th on the top. And then when we go down to that G, if I can get this. If you just play notes from the chord all the time, it'll start to sound a bit stale, it'll start to sound a bit static. So you can really get this extra emotion by adding in these different flavours. Cool, and then on the repeat, she kind of keeps this kind of spicier things going. So she's still on this E, but the chords underneath change to a D minor again. And if you remember from before, the D minor was the D, the F and the A. So there's not an E in that, but what the E does is it adds a 9th. This kind of, again, more kind of lilting. That last note there is the 9th. If you don't have it, you've got a perfectly nice chord. The saddest of all chords, the D minor, but the 9th adds an extra kind of liltingness. But then, if you make things too jazzy, if you make them too dissonant, too kind of sad sounding, it can go down a hole you might not want it to. So she resolves up to an F, and the next chord is an F. So everything is all nice there, right? Cool, and the next bit she's kind of leaning back into that kind of, I don't want to say dissonance because there's more like a kind of floaty dissonance than like a harsh, when I think of dissonance, oh god, I'm explaining this terribly, I do apologise. I think of dissonance as like, is that, whereas a major 7th, or like a major 7 add 9, the best chord in my opinion, technically has some dissonant intervals in it, but it still sounds nice. So they're using this dissonance in a kind of consonant way, if that's even a thing. Nonsense aside here, what Kanami's doing is playing an A over the next 2 chords, which are a B and a G. A B flat, sorry, I should say, and a G. So she's playing the major 7th of this B flat, so you get this kind of nice. And then she keeps on that same note, which then becomes the 9th of the G. So you get this note being held, this kind of soprano pedal, the same note being held in a higher instrument. You put those chords together. Okay, so I'll play that together, I'll just strum the chords and I'll try and do these kind of jazzy voicings. We're putting both guitars into one, so you kind of... So there's really nice interplay, and you know, this is the intro here. We've hardly even scratched the surface. Oh dear, let's get back to it. Stabs harmonic and then into Same idea, but at a faster tempo, I think, and just more energy. Same tempo. So same tempo, but because the drums are kind of pounding along with that kind of classic kind of punk dun dun ka dun dun ka kick snare, kick snare. It just adds that extra level of oomph to it, right? And like I'd mentioned, the kind of dynamic drop there just really lets the vocals cut. And also this kind of bouncing between the singers is really cool. They, I don't know the vocals that well to be able to just hear the difference between them. So if it wasn't for the video, I probably would have assumed it was just, you know, one vocalist. So I think when I watched this the first time, I was like, I can't totally hear the backing vocals, and I think it's more because they're kind of taking turns doing lead and hanging back, so the backing is quite literally a backing vocal instead of being at the same level as the lead, right? And there's a really cool little lead coming in from Kanami here. Again, just instead of keeping it static, it's building to something. So even if you don't hear it, you unconsciously pick up on these things, and you kind of know, something's happening. You know there's progression. It's going towards something. That was the chord that I really liked. Very kind of Nine Inch Nails. Let's figure out what it was. I'm pretty sure she's going to major where we'd expect it to be a minor. So that's what I do 9 times out of 10. I'll hum the note until I find it. So we're playing that there, an A. So she's just going up chromatically. So my suspicion is that they've then gone to a G chord there, right? Let's see this. Let's find out what the rhythm's doing. This is the thing, I always want to look at the parts in conjunction to get an idea of what they're doing and why it sounds the way it does, right? Right, yeah, so the rhythm guitar is going from a B flat to a G. Okay, so we'd expect that to be a G minor, if you remember from before the progression we had where we went from a D minor to an F major to a B flat major to a G minor. G minor's in the key, but here she's kind of subverted the expectation, right? The other cool thing going on here is, before I was talking about major 7 chords and this kind of like a consonant dissonance, if you will, this relaxing dissonance, a dissonance that doesn't feel tense, it feels maybe uneasy, maybe floaty, but not kind of, like kind of psycho themed tune or anything like that. So what she's doing is she's playing an A, but the chord underneath is a B flat. You might remember that B flat was a B flat, a D, and an F. So what she's doing here is playing the major 7th of it. So you're getting, again, this kind of nice, pretty much what she did before with the octaves actually, but in a slightly different context here. So she plays that for most of the bar, but then slides up to the B flat. So the chord kind of becomes more consonant for a little second, right? And then goes up just a semitone to the next note, which is a B. So that forces the chord that Miku's playing underneath to become a major. So the reason you can do this is because she's not playing a minor chord. If she was playing a minor chord, you would have this sound where you'd have a major and a minor together, which is really spicy. I think there's a Weezer song, I think it's the first song on the Blue album that might use a major minor chord. Whatever that song is called, I do forget. But I think that's an example of it. But that's, if you want that vibe, that's going to get you there. If you want things to be more kind of cohesive, I suppose, more kind of musically coherent in that regard, not quite as edgy, the way to do it is to have one guitar play a power chord, so there's no major or minor distinction in it. So the rhythm guitar has got the root, the 5th, and another root. So it's got a D, a G, and another D, right? If there was no other harmonic information, because of the key we're in, we'd assume there was going to be a B flat on top of that, and it would be a G minor. But because a B is being played in the lead, it makes this chord, even though we're not playing a third in the chord, even though maybe he's not playing that, it's just a power chord, because it's present elsewhere in the music, it gives us this kind of major thing. So if you've ever wondered what weird, cool thing is going on there, that's what's happening. And if you listen to it here, I'll kind of point out where it goes from the major seventh to the root, where it feels kind of where it feels kind of safe, and then on to that major third where you'd expect it to be minor. Okay, so let's have a listen. So there's the major seventh root. So there's that slight safe. So there's that slight bit, hopefully you heard it there, where things kind of lock in for a second and then it's almost like they've pulled apart again. So it feels like there's this constant motion of kind of, oh, is it kind of, oh, well, it won't. It's kind of slotting together and then kind of coming apart. It's kind of pulling and pushing between them. It's really quite beautiful use of kind of harmonic chord construction. And I mentioned this quite a bit in the initial reaction I did, but that kind of high synth there, because it's a different timbre and because it's so high, it really makes that vocal pop out. It's really annoying me because this is a technique I learned from a completely different source. I can't remember what it was, but something that I used for quite a while when I wanted something to stick out. It might have been some sort of EDM music tutorial or some sort of producer who was like, if you want something to stick out, copy the melody, do the same melody, have it an octave higher, and just put it down in the mix on a different instrument. So like maybe on a little xylophone. I think that was the example given. I think someone said if you really want a melody to pop out, have a xylophone or a glockenspiel playing the same melody an octave higher, and just keep it kind of quiet so it just makes things pop a bit. If you have any off chance you've watched the video or you know what I'm talking about, hit me up in the comments, because this is going to bug me till I figure it out, and I don't think I will. Right, what I really like about this second verse is we've got one guitar just doing the big kind of chords and letting them ring out, and then the rhythm really being carried by the second one. So you have this nice kind of sludginess with it, a bit of rhythm coming from here. Yeah. There's another thing I'd mentioned in passing that I want to elaborate on a bit here. So I'd said something to the effect of it was quite an exposed solo, and that's because when it goes like this, okay, when the guitar is kind of by itself, I think I've got the part here more or less. When it's just the guitar, you can hear everything. I've had this bandmates before when they call it like the brown pants moment. It's like the start of Sweet Child of Mine, or the little, you know, the diddly bit in, is it Brown Eyed Girl? It's bits that you have to get right and you have to get clean, and it's just you and you're on your own type thing, right? It's so even when you can play it, there's this kind of psychological thing of the security blanket of the rest of the band isn't there. It's like it's just you. And particularly when you're on a stage and everything's loud and it goes down to one instrument, you can really feel that sometimes. So to be able to hold your own and not let the nerves get the better of you is a whole skill set unto itself. Like, I've also noticed here there's like a really quiet dum dum dum, which could be the kick drum or it could be a kind of sub bass type thing being put through the samples through the PA. So if you know which one it is, then hit me up. It sounds a bit more subby to me than a regular kick drum. By sub bass I mean just those really low frequencies that you get in dub music and that kind of thing. Cool, so I'll give you a lick because this is something she likes to do quite a lot. Where were we? Chromatics. Got my whammy bar plugged in, going out of tune there. So it sounded to me like we're just going from 10, 11 to 12 across the D and the G strings, right? Just these nice little hammer-ons. So picking once on the D string, picking once on the G string, and just hammering on. It's a really nice one to get under the fingers. It rolls quite easily, and it sounds cool, doesn't it? What I really like about her bass soloing style is it's almost kind of fill based. So rather than being like a long kind of waving line, it's like boo doo ba boo doo 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 doo. You know, it's almost like she's doing a call and response with herself, and I think that's kind of the best way to tackle a bass solo, because you can't really bend the strings in the same way you can with a guitar. You're a lot more limited in terms of the register, so unless you're going for a slap fest and making it really funky, this kind of short, kind of snappy phrasing I think is the best way to do it. So here, even though there's a lot more playing there, you can still hear it's very phrase based. It's like I'm going to do this for kind of 4 bars, and also making use of the open strings to kind of mark the start of the bar, boom, and then doing a fill, right? More general reactions there, more Bandmaid specific stuff there. I made them their own playlist, but yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel. You can support me on Patreon, do all those wonderful things, the likes and the comments and whatnot. But take it easy, guys, and have a good one.